Aha, my microphone is on now. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun doing 3D stuff and printing it. And now that I know the ins and outs of my 3D printer, it's not so scary anymore. So let's go to live view. Haha, there we are. Yay! You get to see my foxy face instead. Look at that. So, we are going to start off with a very basic shape here. And we are going to be, well, making a grumpy dog, or at least the start of it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish this within hour-ish or so. I'm going to try to get the basics done and then clean it up as I go so I can get it ready to eventually print. No, I did not make this sculpt myself. This is actually done by another Twitch streamer called Caribrew, and he does some amazing 3D models, and mine's actually a work in progress. I'm just too excited not to use her yet. So she will have a couple of changes and stuff when he can get to the rest of the texturing, but right now she looks pretty awesome, so I want to use her while I'm doing some streams and you guys get to see his amazing work because Caribrew is awesome. Yeah, look at that. He gave me so many teeth too and I love it. Look at this. Yeah. So, yeah, he's I think he's just getting so good with like every single model that he does. It's really fun. So this is more expressive than some of his dear older, oh, his older models already. Yeah. Uh, he's done a ton on this one, and I've been super duper impressed with it, and I couldn't have asked for a better person to make my character. She just feels really alive when I get to play with her. So yeah, this is something fun. Let me lower the volume a little bit here. Um, so back to what we are doing today. As you can see, this is just a sphere, and I'm using Zbrush to do my sculpting here. And I use Wacom tablet to do a lot of my sculpting. That's funny. When my camera can't see me, it just stops and she looks all scary. Like, oh. I make little lip stuff like, ooh. my funny faces and my character. But let me turn on my tablet. Come on, buddy. So I like to sculpt with a tablet. It's just easier for me. I have a little bit more control this way. So I don't follow the rules of animation, well, sculpting this if I were to animate it. I am literally going to put a couple of things together, such as intersecting geometry, which I know my 3D teachers would want to smack me for doing so, um, especially the way I'm going to do this stuff. But it works for 3D. I did a head like this. I printed it and everything worked out really well. I'm glad I did it as a test. But I'm going to show you guys and gals and everybody else how I do this, how I go about doing it anyways. So I keep things in the subtool folder. As you can see, it's like a layers folder. And I like to start off with the main base being one giant sphere because I mean most of the head's kind of round, and that way we can work from it. The poly count on it is pretty basic. We're going to up that when we're going to start sculpting and doing stuff to it. For now it's fine for what we're going to do, but I like to tackle this in the same way that I tackle making my regular fursuit heads, which is in parts. And I think that makes a little bit more sense, especially if you're kind of new to ZBrush and you want to use this in a very similar manner that I'm using it. So I make suits and I wanted to start making suit parts in 3D, and this is a pretty fun way of doing it. I love your talking animation of yourself. Ah, thank you. Thank you. Caribrew made it for me, so you'll have to check out his Twitch. He is pretty amazing. Your puppet is rad. Yeah, look at that. It just makes it more fun when I'm talking, and especially because when I'm doing 3D stuff, a lot of the times I'm making some really stupid faces. So you guys get to see a cuter version of me, I guess, which is just a cute fox character. So we are going to start off with the upper muzzle. So we're going to insert another sphere. As you can see, it's inside the other sphere. Rotate this a little bit. And we are going to change our brush because we're going to move this forward. Because we don't need that sphere into the other sphere. And then we're going to make it a little bit smaller because this is what's going to be our upper muzzle. So right now it just looks like a ball inside a ball, which is fine. I'm going to start off with the basics here. I'm just making fursuit sprays right now watching. Oh, that's cool. Gotta keep them smelling good. Okay, so we have the upper muzzle here. Kind of reshaping it here. We're not gonna make it that small. Increase the size. Just to kind of get an idea of like, all right, I want it to be a little bit thicker. So we're gonna go with, this one's gonna be a more grumpy dog because I wanted to make a new sculpt for that. All right, so I like this shape-ish enough. And that one is, that's my main one. This is my second one. I'm going to duplicate this. One thing that is a good idea is to name your layers. That is something that I've kind of learned over time. Because you get comfortable and then you don't realize, like, all right, which layer is which. So, let's see, give me a sec here. This is double checking something. Cool. I'm just moving some stuff around real quick. Okay, there we go. So we're going to duplicate this upper layer. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and rename this before I make a mess. So rename this one, and that's going to be upper muzzle. And then we are going to duplicate it. Duplicate it. And that is... Oh, okay. I'm going to have to charge my tablet. Why are you not... I was going to say... I know you're there. It just looks like a duck like this. Oh, baby. So, I just grabbed the upper muzzle 2. We are going to rename this boy. Show, rename, and then it's going to be lower jaw, and that way I don't mess it up. Naming layers for cowards, excuse me. You gotta spend 30 minutes looking at the shape you had just selected. It's not real. No, yeah. I am not trying to make my life a nightmare when doing this stuff, so I'm trying to help myself. Give me 1 second. Because my thing's already telling me that the battery is low, so well, hopefully it doesn't die. I'll have to charge my tablet. But we'll keep doing this until the tablet dies, and then I'll charge it. Okay, so we have lower and upper muzzle, and you kind of just move it around. Like, all right, sort of works right there. Just kind of move it around and see what works for you. And this is kind of what I do to create upper, lower, and then I'm going to create, oops, my goodness. I think I've been swallowing like fur from work. We're going to create the nose as well. And and the cheeks, we can actually leave them alone because we're going to build up on them. So we have upper and lower. And then let's go ahead and make another. And we're going to make it a nose. So let's... One second, dog decides that it wants to go out now. Doggy's scratching at the door. Alright. So let's make a new layer. Yeah, duck. It's exactly what it looks like right now. Insert another sphere. And it's gigantic, so we don't need it to be that giant. And we need to move it. And just resize it. Doesn't matter 100% what it is right now. You just kind of resize it because you're going to sculpt this a little bit. So just kind of doing like a rough sketch in a way. Just to get an idea on like what you want to do with this. And then you go in and you start detailing. So right now it's just like really basic 3D shapes. But it works, it works, it works. You'll see, you'll see. The one thing about this is as long as you're patient, you can make some really cool stuff with this program. Let me rename this to nose since we're not going to play the game of what are you. Especially because right now it's just here's a sphere and here's another sphere and another sphere and they're all sphere-like spheres on a duck face. So right now I'm like globally moving everything back and forth and resizing it and whatnot, but that's not the whole point of sculpting. So we can actually alter all these pieces separately while we sculpt, which is kind of nice. And then I joined them and I like blend in the pieces together, which actually really looks cool. But this way it's actually worked out well for me. It's pretty quick, so I like it a lot. So when stuff disappears, just make sure that the little eyeball is clicked on the side or it's just going to disappear on you. So let's go ahead and change our brush. So if you've never used this program, there are a ton of brushes to choose from. And this is the one thing. I have Zbrush, like the full edition. There's Zbrush Core, which is great for a lot of stuff, but I started finding out I was very limited by Zbrush Core, so I went ahead and got the full version, and I love it. So there's so many brushes, and sometimes you get lost trying to look for the right brush. But there are a couple of brushes that I use a lot. So I use smooth a lot, but that's, you just use shift and then whatever tool you have turns to a smooth tool. I use move a lot, so I like to press M and then you can find move right away. So as you can see, oh, thank you for following, Razor Ray. Yes, I got my little zombie man right there. So right now we want to press X, and now you see two little red dots on the screen. So I pressed X on purpose because whatever I do on one side is going to happen on the other side. So this way when we're sculpting, we know that symmetry is on, and we're going to be able to work on this just right, which is nice. And the other thing is this big circle right here in the middle looks like a target is the size of my brush. So I can change the size of my brush. So you can see it right there. It's up here on the top. Up and down, up and down. And we can start moving parts. But we are not on the lower jaw. We're going to go upper muzzle, and we're going to start moving parts. So oops. As I was not mirroring my things right there because I didn't press X. Okay, so now I have X again. And this is now doing it on both sides. It's really low poly right now, so a lot of things will look a little funky, but that's okay. We can always raise the poly count, which is the amount of these little squares you see right here. I'll show you. Like that. We can raise that so a lot of these things don't come out so stretched and looking kind of ugly. And that way we have more information to sculpt on. But right now we're going to start with something pretty basic. So sometimes working with the camera. Oh, I'm hearing an echo. Let me double check something. Not sure if you guys were hearing an echo. I'm trying to make sure that it's not creating the same issue as last time with my microphone. But let's continue on this. So the move tool, actually, yes, it is creating an echo. Just moving something real quick. Okay. So the move tool, I just use it to kind of press some stuff, move things, stretch stuff. And because I have it with the X activated, the symmetry is working. Let me move something real quick. I think it's my Facerig that's making like double the noise. But here we go. So with the move tool, you kind of just pull stuff, squish stuff until you get sort of the shape you want. Move these around. So the way I look at this is like really try to think like basic shapes. And like I said, I'm going to be intersecting geometry, which is fine. And I'm constantly pressing the smooth tool. So you see me going back, pressing the smooth tool, and it really smooths stuff out. So, of course, this nose, I'm going to move this nose a little bit, go back to my transpose, move it out, move it up too. even though it just looks like just a ball. So see the upper muzzle, when you go over it in the subtool menu, it starts to look different because you're altering it. So you start seeing all the changes. Let's move this. All right. We don't need to move that. And see, a lot of the brushes that are used a lot will stay up here on the top. So, because the move is used so much, you'll see me use it over and over. And I'm already noticing that I'm going to definitely need to upgrade the poly count in that area. Okay. And I will show you how to do that. But for now, we are just doing this. And then I'm going to go in and start adding some more detail in the muzzle. If you're not used to 3D, it does take a little while to get used to the cameras moving around, and it can be a little sickening at first. I do get a little bit of VR sickness every once in a while, and that's normal. If you are, I guess, prone to getting motion sick, sometimes 3D work can be a little dizzy. Because you're working and the camera's kind of all over the place. But you can always snap it into place with shift. So I can already see that it's having some issues here, and because we're stretching stuff and it's wanting to, you know, stretch those polys, and it's not doing so hot because there's not enough information here to do what I wanted to do. So now that I have it highlighted, I wish I could knew where this echo was coming from, because I hear it lightly. Hopefully it's not too bothersome for you guys to listen. Um, but actually, let me see something. You can't hit good because I think it's light, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't super loud. I have both of my stream monitors off, and it's coming from my computer still. But I think it's part of the stream, not Streamlabs, but where I'm running the avatar. So I'll have to see what is making that noise. It's funny because I don't hear it when I'm doing tests and whatnot. It's always when I'm streaming. But I thought it was like my streaming monitor that was showing me this. But I'm doing it through my iPad. That's how I kind of check all my stuff and comments. So I don't know yet. It's probably something silly. I'm just not paying attention to it. So we are going to go into geometry because we want this to be higher than what we have right now. We want this geometry to be a little bit uh, thicker, I guess. So we're going to hit divide, and it divides it a bit. And the more that you hit divide, see how everything is a little bit smoothed out now? It makes it softer, which means you have more information and you can work better with it. And when I smooth it and such, it's not struggling so much to kind of figure everything out. And I can do more with it. So this way I get like all the basic information in. Because all the pieces right now are literally pieces. I can grab this piece, I can turn off like my nose, so go back to my subtool, because maybe I don't want the nose in there and I want to move this whole thing further out because I think I should make the muzzle a little bit longer because he was looking a little squatty. And then that means the lower jaw, no, not the nose, the lower jaw, we want to make it a little bit longer too to kind of go with it. Yeah, kind of around there. Because that is the one thing that it was a little squatty last time when I was sculpting the head. So I'll keep the nose kind of off for now. Let's see, do this. And I'm going to go into the upper muzzle and I'm going to go back to move and we're going to start moving stuff some more. Smooth this area a little bit. This is where the nose is going to go. I can just smooth this area out a bit because it doesn't really matter right now. And I'm going to use another brush that I like to use a lot called the Dam brush. That Dam brush. So it's called the Dam Standard, and this one actually carves into the sculpt itself. So I usually use this to just give me an idea where I'm going to put the nose bridge. Whenever you use this brush, I hear your voice. The Dam Standard brush. I mean, I use it a lot, so I like it. It's good. And the flatten brush. That's my other. That's my bay brush. So, because the nose is going to go over here, let's go into flatten, because I use flatten a lot. And let's zoom in a little bit. And then I like to, flatten the sides a bit. And then go back in, use shift, flatten, flatten, flatten. Flatten the sides a bit. And then I'll just kind of erase that because I'm using it for flat. I use it more for to know where I'm going to start flattening and kind of changing the shapes. So when I'm sculpting, it's kind of like I'm sketching and then I'm going over my sketch and then inking afterwards. So you'll see me change things often. So I'm like, hey, that would look way cooler if we did it like that. And I like to use the flatten brush a lot. Let's just flatten this area here. This is where I want my nose. Yeah, right like that. Zbrush has amazing brushes. I really, really do like them. And this program is just so nice about so much stuff. I wish I would have gotten into this program a whole lot sooner. I remember when I first heard about this program was back when I was in school, and that was many, many years ago, and it was like this elusive program that modelers were using, but it was kind of complicated at the time, and now I don't know, they've done so much stuff to this program. It's amazing. I am so happy with it. I love everything about it. I am very quiet for some reason. Let me see. Let me bump up the microphone. Can you hear me better now? I can even put the microphone more in my mouth. It sounds okay. All right, good. I raised it a bit, but I'm making sure I am not cracking. I don't want to kill you guys with my sound. Oh, it was on your end. So I'm just kind of flattening it and getting this shape kind of there. I use the flatten brush kind of all over the place because I start to kind of create the shape I want. And just move it around and then go back and use smooth. So I press shift and then that smooths it. I can control how smooth I want the smoothing to work. I just kind of change the intensity up here on the top. So back to the move tool since we love it so much because he looks like a duck still, but we don't like that. This is the other thing. I'm going to change this back to my favorite. Come on. The red wax. I can see a little bit more with the red for some reason. You can make it any color. I mean, you could really make it like reflective surface if you really wanted, but I don't know why you want to make your life impossible with the reflective surface. It looks cool. But the red has been really, I don't know, easy on my eyes, I think. Smooth this baby out. And since the bottom jaw is not joined, I'll be able to rotate it a little bit so it's more of an open muzzle. And I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. So, boom, let's see. Okay. Make this go in a bit more in there. And just smooth it out. Then again, just be patient because at first the shapes are kind of like, what the heck is going on? This doesn't look like I want it to look like. And it can get real frustrating at first. But if you are patient and you go back and you just keep working at it, you'll see that it'll eventually look like something hopefully decent, but you know, just be patient. The program's really cool. You just have to believe in it. I know I need to make a like a little brush tool thing on the bottom. I haven't done it yet, which really helps keep the brushes that you use the most. I usually just go back up on the top and pick the ones that I like. The most used ones kind of stay on the top. So I like a wide um, top muzzle here. The nose bridge, I like it wide. Yeah, there is. It's here on the bottom. Um, you keep your brushes there on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure how to do it yet. I gotta just look up a like a quick tutorial because I see a bunch of artists having it on the bottom and I'm like, oh, I kind of want that. I would like to have my quick brushes on the bottom, but I'm not 100% sure how to do it. I know you can, but I just have to look up how. So I'm flattening, flattening. It doesn't mean that I'm going for like super sharp edges, but for now I am until I get the look that I want to go with. Sometimes the sharp edges look really cool, so I leave them alone. So we shall see. So kind of looking kind of cool. And let's add the nose to give me a better idea. It's there. Where are you, nose? There we go. So, not terrible, but that's not the nose I want to keep. So let me go over here. So whenever you select something, the nose glows. And that way you know you've picked the right thing. And so because I'm going to be 3D printing this head, I want and I'm going to make casts out of it. I want this nose to be a little bit raised, not flush with the head, because the fur is going to take up some space, so you kind of have to make a little ledge for it. So these are things that you need to kind of keep in mind. What is that? Okay. All right. It's funny, like a link showed up on my chat. I think you have to like approve links or something. I'm not sure. Thought they were okay, but maybe it was spam. So you kind of just position the nose kind of where you want it, and then you can start sculpting it. But as always, remember if you want symmetry, you want to press the X. Right now I don't have it, so you only see one little dot. Press X, and all of a sudden those dots had babies. Look at that. Two of them. And you can see the rest of the head is not highlighted because I am only working on the nose. So you can join all this stuff together at the beginning if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would do that, just because I think it's a pain in the butt and you probably would have a bad time. So with this nose, what I'm going to do, and I should have done it with the other one, I got all excited, but I wasn't thinking about it, was to make a rounded nose to go with the head base, get that printed, do all that good stuff, and then make another detailed nose with nostrils that will fit the same area without a problem, but plug that one in resin, and then that way you can get a really detailed nose, which is cool. Because casting the really detailed noses in foam, it's fine to a point, but foam never comes out as smooth as resin, so I can make it modular. Who doesn't like that? So for these, the ones that I'm going to be printing, everybody's going to get the kind of the generic no nostril nose, and then the nostril nose will be done to fit the exact same size, but in resin, which is neat. So they'll look nice and smooth. Little things that you learn when you start doing these casts, and also figuring out other ways to cut my time on printing so it doesn't take me 5 days to do both prints together. That was a lot. But I was also printing it at a really high quality, which I didn't even pay attention to. And the more I'm doing this, the more you learn. So it's cool. Let's raise this a bit. And then lower the sides a little bit. And let me increase the info on this nosy nose. And divide. Here we go. Cool. So I can make it smooth. Flatten this baby out. I don't want it as pointy, so I'm just going to start moving stuff around. I still want it a little bit rounder. How long does your resin printer, is that what it's called, take to do small stuff? The laser thing? Well, it depends. It depends on what you're going to do. It depends on the size, depends on the information. It could be as little as an hour to as much as a couple hours. Most of the prints that I've done have been no more than like 5 hours at most. But like the big nose, that one, well, actually no, the big nose did take like 8 hours. So, and that was like the biggest thing I could do on the print size bed. But I also made a mistake as I left all the intersecting geometry alone, which I shouldn't have. That was stupid of me. So I used up a lot more resin than I should have. And I think that should have taken like 3 hours, but because I left all the intersecting geometry together, then it took 8 hours. But so 8 hours was the longest. It should have taken about 3. So it depends on you more than anything. Um, how good is your sculpt? Did you leave a ton of intersecting geometry? Because then the printer's like, oh, hey, there's stuff inside stuff inside stuff. And then I'm going to do supports, and the supports are going to add more. So the first nose that I made was silly because I left everything intersecting, so that's why. But yeah, it shouldn't take too long. The resin printer is really quick, I will say that. It's just insane. And the quality on that thing is just crazy. The resin printer is just straight up magic. That's what it is. And the quality you get for the price is crazy. It really is crazy. And and it's neat, especially if you like watching 3D printers do their thing. This one is not as easy to watch. Plus, I would not stick my face in there to watch this stuff because it is resin and it's got fumes and such. So it works in the garage. I just leave it alone. I don't touch that thing um, because I'm pretty sure this stuff is somewhat toxic, if not pretty toxic. So I just kind of let it do its thing. It's cool though. The whirly gig noises my printer makes. Yeah, mine does a bunch of cute little noises too. The big one, the the resin printer is a little more, I guess, a little more reserved on its noises, which is fine. I mean, they all don't need to scream and dance and do stuff. I have an older printer that does like a little dance pretty much at the end as it's done. It's like my washing machine, which is cute, but I mean, not a necessity. My printers don't need to dance for me. I just need them to print. I think every company adds something different to their printers. Because I started with a printer from a company called Cube. I mean, it's like, well, they're called Cube printers. I keep forgetting the name of the company. 3D Systems. I think it's 3D Systems. And I got that one years ago in like 2012, I think it was. I got my first printer. And it only printed like a little cube that was like 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, and I wanted to print everything with it, and it was great. The problem was it was a proprietary uh, filament, and the filament was expensive, was really expensive. So it made it really hard for me to, print everything I wanted because it got really pricey. So when I started really looking into other printers when I wanted to get a new one, which I got it this year, literally like less than a month ago. Um, I wanted something that was open source. It was just like any filament from wherever I could put in there, and it wasn't what I had to deal with 3D Systems because that was actually really stupid. How they did that, I don't know if they're making uh, consumer printers anymore. I don't think so. I think they're doing more stuff for like corporations and whatnot. But it was it was very expensive, so I don't recommend those printers at all. I had a Cube 2, which, yeah, it was like a plug and play kind of printer, which was good, but at the same time, you really paid for it because you were kind of restricted to using their stuff only. And the one that I have now is, I think it's pretty much, it's a copy of the Creality series, the CR10s, because it looks the same. It's just not made by Creality, and it works very much the same, and you could even use the same profiles on it in different printing programs. I think even Cura will read it that way, and it still works. I mean, I did download the right profile. Somebody wrote the profile for it and uploaded it online for the Artillery, which is the printer that I'm currently using, the large one, and it's great. It's a solid printer, but it's literally a ripoff of the Creality. It's just, I think, 200 bucks cheaper, and I like it. I think they're all made by Chinese companies. They're all pretty much the same thing. Just a different version because it has, I don't know, blue colors instead of red. Oh yeah, a certain ripoff feels like it. A Tevo Tornado. I think they're all just ripoffs of ripoffs. I got mine because my friend Matt recommended it, and he said it was pretty good. And then I went to go visit him in Ohio, and I saw that the printer itself was actually pretty awesome and relatively easy to assemble. When you get the printer, it's not like in a million pieces, and I'm gonna have a heart attack putting this thing together, which was kind of like my fear. Like, what if this thing is like, I don't know, just like way too many pieces and scary, and I don't know how to put it together, and really bad instructions because they're written in another language, and I don't know what I'm going to do. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. It was 95% of the way put together. That's how it was advertised, and it's true. It was. It was pretty good. Let me save this because I'm being stupid and not saving this. So let's do this one. Grump dog. Actually, let's do save. But no, I don't want to save it as a tool because that was stupid. Oh, what was it? I did something different the other day because I'm like, why did I save it as a tool? Let me export it actually. Export it, and then it's going to be up. Just in case this thing decides to crash on itself, I'll just save it as an OBJ. My SD card got filthy. It lives in the machine shop and reads my prints on the card. Funny for a while. Huh. Yeah, I'm not using my SD card on mine. I'm just using my USB because there's a whole lot of stuff in my garage, and I'm just like, I bet you that SD card slot's going to be a disaster in no time. But the USB has been great. Same thing with the resin printer. I just use the USB. It's funny, I've been going through quite a bit of PLA, and I never thought I'd be buying PLA in bulk. I will say this though, this is interesting. I'm going to mention it anyways. So the other day I went to Joann's, the fabric store here local, and they're selling PLA. You can buy PLA at Joann's, which to me is just crazy. Like, really? PLA at the fabric store? Because they're selling 3D printers at Joann's now. So Polaroid decided to make a printer, and I guess Joann's has the rights to it somehow. And they're selling Polaroid-based 3D printers at Joann's, which is cool because it's an easy, it's a look, it's a non-scary way to get into 3D printing. You can buy it at the fabric store, which is cool. It just shows you how, I guess, accessible 3D printing is getting, which is kind of cool. I'm going on InRequest to look at this now. I have not checked if they have them online. I would think so. So this is the thing. When I buy a kilo of this stuff, the PLA that I'm using currently, which I just use like the generic-y stuff that is about 19 bucks a kilo, they will charge you a lot. So be careful, kind of keep that in mind, because if you're buying it from the fabric store, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for it. But the good thing about all of this is that Joann's does take coupons. And there is always a 40% coupon from Hobby Lobby. So you can get it very close to about like, 20-ish dollars or so. And Joann's always has some sale going on, which is good. Oh, Joann's isn't in Canada, but right by where I buy my PLA when I go to Detroit anyways. Yeah, the coupons are the only way to go. Every time I go there, I get the Hobby Lobby coupon, the Michaels coupons, Of course, the Joann's coupons, and pretty much they will be okay with most fabric store coupons, which is nice, which I have no issue with. Let's see. Move some stuff. Okay. It's just kind of nuts because you end up saving a ton of money with the coupons. Been trying to kind of get my mom on the coupon train. Moving some stuff here. Trying to make sure like my poor phone doesn't keep falling. Oh, Micro Center. I don't have them here. As far as I know, I don't have them here in Florida. At least not in the Orlando area. So definitely let's raise this nose because it is low. So this is what I was talking about, the nose. So I want to keep it up a bit. And then I'm going to flatten this area here. So when the fur, yeah, put it there. When the fur is butted against it, it's flush with the nose. So you kind of have to think about the fur. Oh, thank you. I see that my stream is being hosted. Well, thank you, thank you. So let me grab this here and I'm going to flatten it. So it'll look like the nose is kind of floating on its own a bit, like, oh, it's gonna be too high, but it actually isn't. This is done on purpose. And I will move it a bit. So let's see, kind of like that. Smooth it a little bit and then go back to flattening. It just helps. The lip doesn't have to be huge. It's just enough so the fur, when you know where to kind of butt the fur. Can your stream be rated? Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I have it open for that. You are more than welcome to raid me. That sounds so bad. So, see the ledge there? The ledge there is a little too forced. So we will move this down a little bit. Flatten this little edge right there. And then move that nosy nose down. So it just needs a little bit. It's mostly here on the top that I make sure that there's enough ledge for it. And then I'm going to move this side a bit. Oh, let me see. I should, well, actually, let me double check. I may be saying something and then I don't have it on and I could be very wrong. So give me 1 sec. Not there. Where would I find, let's see, there's raid host. No, I see that, I see it. Let me, I think hosting you. Oh my goodness. Let me see. real quick over here. Gotta bear with me here for a second. I think I see it. It says raid host. Pick a live channel to raid or host you. And then I guess it's allowing it. Yeah, it says it does. I added 2 people that were hosting me already. So let me see if unless there's something that I have completely off, but it says that it's okay. So you can try, I suppose, and see if it works. But it says, yeah, it says it works. At least I added the 2 people that were hosting me, and it says pick a channel, it says pick a live channel to raid or host, and it looks like it should be fine. Unless I'm doing something wrong, so I'm always like, it's probably my fault. I'm probably doing something wrong. So we'll continue moving this little nose over here. So just to leave enough of a ledge, like enough of a ledge right there. And then definitely this slope here, it needs to be kind of moved a bit too, because it's a little too much of a slide here. And let's change that a bit. Move this down. Alright. Alright, that's looking like something. It's better than it was looking like before. So, the bottom muzzle. I can't have him with the muzzle completely shut because it doesn't really work that way. Hello, Wheelie Husky. So I'm going to have to alter the muzzle a bit on the bottom. So lower jaw. Grab this. And we're going to transpose. And then we're going to rotate it. It's like, hello, everybody. Just kind of open it up. So what we're going to do is we are going to, well, that jaw is a little long. Stick it in a bit. And we are going to flatten the top part of it. And then I'm going to shove this other thing in there and you'll see why. So I do a lot of this stuff to help me cast heads a little bit easier. So we're going to go back to flatten. And we're going to flatten this. I need to flatten. Come on, buddy. So I go back and forth. I flatten, flatten, and then I smooth. You kind of start getting a flat inside area for the mouth. disconnect my other mic because mine decided to just didn't want to play today. So let's try this again. Trying it with my wired mic. Sorry about that. So let's start this all over again here. Okay, all right. Hopefully you can hear me with this one just fine. I just had to switch over because I don't know, everything's battery is just like dying today, even though I had everything charged. But well, let's continue. Probably you'll hear more of my mouse clicks. But hopefully you can hear me just fine with this one. One thing is you might hear my fan because the fan on my thing is just like buzzing away. As I move the mouse a little closer here. All right, so we're gonna keep flattening this area. And smoothing it. So, and I'm gonna move this upper area too. Oh, we're not gonna flatten it, we're gonna move it. It doesn't have to have a hole because we're gonna be printing this. And I'd rather this area be pretty much like this. I'll just clean it up inside. I usually don't print them with the mouths open. I usually kind of just close them up a little bit by adding like a ball in here. But I'm going to actually try printing one with the mouth more open. Just to test something a little different. I'm quiet, so okay. All right, let me add a bit more. Can you hear me better? A little bit better now? A little bit better? A bit better or no? You gotta give me one sec, because I'm, alright, a bit better now? I'll talk a little bit louder, because I have the microphone kind of to the side. So I feel like I'm screaming at my computer. But yeah, I have the microphone to the side, so that's why. Let me see if I can put it a little bit more forward. I'm just trying to get it away from the stupid fan. So it's just loud. My poor little laptop is just like, I hate you right now. So just kind of moving this inside. If I'm a little quiet, just tell me and I'll try to speak a little bit louder, a little bit closer into the microphone until my other mic is back in action. So let's clean this up a little bit. And as always, if I need more information, if I'm going to be adding more stuff in this area, what I'll do is I'll divide it. And by dividing it, that means I have more information to work with. And I can get more detail. So right now it looks like he's screaming. Let's flatten this area a little bit. Let's flatten the upper area a little bit. Actually, let's flatten his muzzle on the inside a bit. Kind of carve it out in a way. I'm I'm gonna raise the bottom jaw a little bit because it's this way. The mouth would just be way too open, like way too open. So lower jaw, smooth that. Further up, like that. So it's not screaming. It's open, but not enough. So there we go. Let's go back to our move tool since I love it so much. And then look at it from every angle. So this is the thing with 3D sculpting. You have to think about this in, of course, 3D. So go in here and then move stuff around and see what works. One needs to be widened. Until you get the look that you want. And smooth the areas that you want a little bit smoother. So I like to go into here and then kind of flatten the bottom a bit too. So I think it looks kind of cool when it's flattened. I do it a lot now because it just looks better. The nose is not in the center. So let me move, actually now that I'm looking at the nose is off. I see what it's doing. Yeah, don't do that. Raise it up a little bit. Yeah, it just looked like it was a little off on the bottom. It's a little off. It's doing something weird. I think it's because I have symmetry on. There we go. I was like, what the heck is it doing? And I'm like, oh, I see. I have symmetry on. Whoopsie. So for people that want to start doing 3D, especially if you're like a suit maker and you're curious about this stuff, like, hey, I want to do this. Why not? I definitely recommend using Sculptress because it's free. So that's one of those things that, yes, if you want to get into 3D, try using a free program, of course, because, I mean, why do you want to pay for it first if you don't know if you're going to like this or not? Aw, thank you, Ice. Like, yee. So, yes, Sculptress, 100%. You should try it. It's like the beginner version of this program. So if you're a little scared of 3D, don't be. It's really, really fun. But don't jump into buying a program that's expensive without you knowing for a fact that you're going to use it. So that's why I stuck to Sculptors for a while before I knew I wanted to get into this. And I realized for a bit that the Sculptors was fine for what I was doing, and then I really, really wanted to get into doing a whole lot more, and then I realized, well, I should upgrade the program and get something that's a little bit more powerful. And Zbrush really fit the bill for that. So a lot of people ask me, well, why didn't you go in with Blender? It's free and it's a good program and you can use it too. And I use Blender very little because I don't know how to use it as good as I should. But it's not because I don't like the program, it's because I like the organic sculpting on Zbrush a whole lot more. That's just a preference. I'm not saying it's better, it's just the way I like doing stuff. Because hey, free's good too, but you know, doesn't always mean it's going to fit the look that I have in mind. So this program has been good to me. Terrified of it at first because it was a little complicated figuring out where everything was, and it's not a program that you just kind of grab and go and it's like, yeah, great, this is gonna make a whole lot of sense. At first it didn't, and that's totally fine, and you shouldn't be scared and feel dumb because this stuff is not easy. Same, once I stopped being scared of Zbrush, I have been happy using it. It's very true, it's the same thing. I have absolutely no clue how Blender works and it's a bit too confusing for me. Yeah, it was the same thing with this. It's just like, you know, I'm gonna sit around, I'm going to watch tutorials until I'm blue in the face pretty much, and hopefully I learned something from them. Thankfully I did. And now I can make fun figures for you guys, and it's been good. It's been really good. Let's see. Move this a bit more. So you're kind of maybe seeing like the trend with the 3D stuff. You pull, you push, you add this little bit here, you go back in, you alter something else. That is literally what I do with these until I get the shape that I really want, and that's pretty much 3D for you. Little micro movements are what makes sense with 3D. And that's totally fine. It's a good thing. I just get my lessons from you. Blender's not very intuitive, but Zbrush is not that intuitive either. It says a lot of trial by fire. Yep. Fire, exactly. It's a lot of learning by screaming at the computer. The one thing is I did decide to get a gaming computer just so I could run my 3D stuff and do some editing on it as well. I have a Mac too, but my Mac's a little bit older, and it's going on 4 years this November, and it was just not loving 3D. So I decided not to torture my poor Mac anymore, and give it a little bit of a break. And ever since I jumped over on this gaming computer, just went Windows with it, which works fine. I've been really happy with it, and I'm glad I did. Because oh boy, these files take up a lot of space. I mean, these programs use up a lot of memory. I mean, yeah, everything takes up a lot of space, especially when I'm saving the file like a million times over. So I'm too scared I'm gonna lose it. But have a powerful computer if you're gonna do 3D. You'll scream at your computer probably a whole lot less. Because I definitely did stop screaming at it all the time. Just the Apple computer I was using, my iMac, was like, nah, I'm just gonna break. And if you look at me wrong, I'm gonna break some more. So I decided that fighting with my technology was not my thing. So I left that one for everything else I'm doing. And then all the 3D and VR stuff, I do it on this gaming computer, which has been good. This one is going to be a grumpy dog base. I run Zbrush on this laptop. It does alright. Sometimes it chugs. Yeah, I was running it on my little Acer laptop that I was using as my little gaming computer for a bit. And I mean, it worked out fine to a point. I can't stream and do 3D work at the same time because my computer literally just kills itself. So I'm running a 2-system stream. So everything that you see me do on like my little character and Streamlabs and everything, all this stuff, the overlays, all that is being run on the laptop. And then I am connecting the main desktop computer to it. So that way I'm not putting all that stress on the laptop, because the laptop was literally just setting on fire. So I'm not out to like murder my electronics completely. So I decided to do a 2-part stream computer system thing, which works out fine. Because I mean, my computers are not powerhouses or anything like that, but it works for me. This little Windows computer has been a fantastic little machine. Yeah, it will melt a computer. My computer just, the first time I did it, I was like, oh cool guys, I can't wait to stream and show you guys what I'm doing, and just about killed it. The computer turned itself off. It was so hot. I felt bad. I'm like, oh no computer, I didn't mean to kill you. I didn't destroy it, but yeah, you could tell that the stress was, it was just too much on the computer. So definitely don't stream and do 3D work on the same device, because it's not a good idea. I won't do that again. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is thanks to Caribrew doing this. And like I told everybody else who's been here, this is a work in progress. He's actually not done with it. I'm just too excited not to use it. That's the thing. So I'm sure Caribrew pops up in here every once in a while. I'll be like, oh my goodness, why is she using it as a work in progress? I'm like, I'm just too excited. That's the problem. I can hear your laptop from here. Here's a powerful beast of a laptop. Yeah, you can hear it because I had to put the microphone. Oopsie, as I'm making noises now. I had to put the microphone a little bit closer to me, but the laptop is also part of the table. It's in the table right now, and it is making a whole lot of noise. So it is. I mean, it's not running 3D in it. It's just running all the stream stuff. And after a little bit, the laptop's just like, you know, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna turn on all my fans. So computer's like, nah. I'm ready to call it quits. But because the desktop is pretty quiet. I mean, the desktop's also on the ground. But my little setup is pretty funky. I got screens kind of all over in this little tiny area. That used to be my drawing area. Now it's my computer area. So I got upper muzzle, lower muzzle. This looks pretty decent. Increase the size of this a bit. Make sure I don't go too crazy with the thickness so it doesn't look like a bee stung it. Alright, let's zoom that in. And lower jaw, turn you off for a minute. See this for now. This is the other thing that's neat, because you can turn off different parts. You can go in and work a little bit closer on parts, which is pretty cool. So you don't have to have every single piece on, I guess, visible. Yeah, I've been really, really happy with the Facerig model. It makes it a whole lot easier because I look like a mess after work and you guys get to see a cute little fox instead of me looking like a disaster zone. So, yay for Facerig. I mean, I could just be in my pajamas right now. And you guys wouldn't know. Because I'm always in my green hoodie on the internet. No, it's fun. It's one of those things like I started doing some streams in Fursuit and it was cute. But I'm like, man, I can't see what I'm doing in suit. So it was cool, but at the same time it was kind of just like, alright, this is kind of a mess too. I gotta see and then people can't hear me very well. So for some stuff I'm cool with doing it in suit. Other stuff, the Facerig character, it's just such a good idea. I love her. I got Facerig a billion years ago and I was crowdfunding, but the video chatting kind of died by the time it was released. Yeah, it did. Spoiler alert, she's in her green hoodie. I'm actually wearing a bright yellow shirt. Oh no! As soon as I get home, my PJs are gone. Actually, I'm still wearing my work clothes, but they're pretty comfy, so it's not too bad. Smooth this out a bit. I think maybe raise that little area there. So if you ever jump into my streams and watch me carve, I am carving in a very similar manner. As weird as this looks, it does make sense. So when I'm carving, I usually do like the upper muzzle in its own part, and then the lower muzzle in its own part, and then I go and I do like the eyebrows and the cheeks. So I'm kind of using ish the same ways of doing stuff, and it's actually worked out really well, weirdly enough. And because I can turn off certain visibility, it works the same way too, because it's like, oh, me not gluing parts together and you can see more of it. So it's funky, but it works. So let's add that lower jaw back. A banana shirt. No, no. You can't wear banana stuff because Remy's staying with me. I mean, we can't have that banana stuff all over the place. Alright, so we got this here. So what I'm going to do is on the actual main head. Let's rename this. Main head. Yes, Remy is back. She's visiting because she's dating my boyfriend. She's dating my boyfriend. Wow, I sound stupid. She's dating my brother. So she came to visit him again before MFF because she is also working on her fursuit. So she's trying to get her fursuit, I think, just as a partial for now, in time for MFF. So that is why she is down here. She's visiting. She's working on a suit. Are you stoked for MFF? So I'm not excited about cons anymore. It's more of a panic. So to be honest with you, I don't know the last time I was excited about a convention because I just deal with panic. Because it's the whole getting stuff done and travel and making sure you have everything. So excitement isn't what I have. Plus, I really wish MFF wasn't so close to Thanksgiving.
it makes it really, really complicated. So I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it next year because it's been really tough every year to do it. And so yeah, it's we'll go with more panic than excitement. Yes, yeah, it's like I am going, but con crunch, yeah, exactly. It's always con crunch. The thing is, you have holidays. You have Thanksgiving. I had to cancel Thanksgiving with my boyfriend's family, which is in Illinois, um, because I couldn't do the suits that I needed to finish and do Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is not going to happen at the usual place where I do it. So I'm going to try to at least make a little bit of time for my own family this year. And even for Christmas, last year I spent Christmas by myself, which was not fun. So I'm trying not to do that again. That was not intentional. That was because my dog was dying at the time, and I wanted to make sure that I was here for her. Oh no! I think my tablet also died. Yeah, it was a sad thing last year. Give me one sec. Let me do a little BRB because I gotta find my cable real quick for my tablet. Yeah, it was a sad Christmas last year. But this year I should be able to spend it with my family and Thanksgiving as well. Hopefully, I mean, I'm not very good at balancing my family time, which is not something I'm proud to say, but it happens. You get so caught up in work. That's the problem. There we go. But I'm trying to make a little bit more time this year because there's a lot of stuff that I have like complete regrets when it comes to family stuff. But that's a sad and depressing subject, so I'm not going to talk about that. We're just going to keep sculpting puppies. But yeah, that's why when people ask me, "Oh, are you excited for a con?" It's usually MFF. I'm like, I am to see my friends. I'm not gonna lie about that, of course. But it is in a really bad time every year. It's a big reason why I had to cancel JMOF. I love JMOF to death. Such a good con in Japan, and it's an amazing convention to go to and sell. Like amazing, worth it. So, but the thing is it's also a really crappy time. Just doesn't work very well because it is literally right after New Year's. So if you're out with family for New Year's and then you are um, wanting to get, oops, you're just doing a lot of travel. That's the problem, and that is kind of not fantastic when you're trying to get a bunch of stuff done. So. But I do want to do JMOF next year, so I'm thinking my plan, at least for next year, is to potentially just skip MFF and do JMOF instead, which would be fine. I've been doing MFF for a long time, so if I skip it for 1 year, I'm not going to be distraught. No, I sold once, I think, at MFF. I did when I was a guest at MFF because getting a dealer stable at MFF is really complicated. It's kind of like the mess of getting a hotel room. Um, And when I did vend there, it was great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that was actually really awesome to sell there. And the amount of people that run by your table, it's good. It's really good. But the thing is I live in Florida, so bringing stuff up to sell is complicated. It's pretty complicated. So it was cool when I got to do it as a guest, because I got a lot of help with stuff, and I'm just super grateful. Like MFF was amazing with me. I'm not gonna complain about any of that stuff. They were a really good con. They treated me like a freaking king, and but I sold that one time there, and it was super duper stressful because of the amount of people that come through, and it was good and it was bad. It was one of those, like, it was a con that was really tough to like enjoy because I was so busy, but at the same time for selling was like, oh my goodness, fantastic. Was it worth the hassle of bringing everything we brought? It just kind of depends, like a yes and a no. um, I definitely want to vend at more cons because that's kind of like a big thing that I want to do now, but I need to be really picky with the conventions that I'm going to be going to. So I wanted to do TFF, but it's a little too close the next year for me to do stuff. So I'm gonna have to wait for probably the following year if I want to do that con. A lot of people told me it was really nice, and I want to start doing different cons too. No, I don't drive to cons to vet. No, heck no. I ship my stuff, which makes it really expensive, but at the same time, um, just driving that far, nah. I don't want to put any miles on my cars like that, and the largest car I have is an electric car, and I am not stressing my vehicle to do that. No, and then that car is not even that big anyway, so no, no, no. No, I don't know. It's I'm looking at a couple cons. I was looking to deal at Denver, but most people told me it's kind of a wash when it comes to dealing at Denver, and not a great idea. So I'm probably not going to, now that people have just kind of given me a heads up, like, it's kind of a waste of time. Don't do this, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of a bummer because I was really hoping it wasn't like that. I was hoping it was a little better, but I guess what people were complaining about saying was it was a lot of, it was a younger crowd. That's what people said. It was a younger crowd, so a lot of the younger crowd didn't really understand too much like the pricing of things, and a lot of people were being kind of not super cool about stuff. And I was like, well, I don't know if I want to deal with a super young crowd that I might not be able to, bend to. So I don't know. It's one of those, I'm not sure. I have a lot of friends in Denver. It'd be really cool to sell and make it a work and kind of leisure trip at the same time by seeing friends, but I'm not sure. Is it in the middle of a chunk of cons? Denver is in August, I think. So, I mean, I guess if you consider that in a chunk of cons, I mean, there's cons all the time. That's the thing. So, no matter how you look at it, I think you're always going to bump into cons. AC is in July or June. It just depends. I think it just keeps changing back and forth. I used to do Anthropon, but I'm not a huge fan of Pittsburgh. I think it's kind of boring. So I just kind of stopped. That was the first convention I ever went to. And I used to love it. But the thing is I was going to that con not to sell. I haven't sold at AC since the first AC that I sold at, which was 2002. And I did not a dealers, I did a artist alley, and it was real cute. I was like, oh my goodness, I love everything. Furry is new and cool and cute. But no, I didn't go back to sell. I debated going back to sell at AC because AC is a good selling con. I mean, not going for like, the magic of Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh to me is just kind of just there. Pittsburghy. So um, it was a maybe because if you're going as a vendor, it's actually a pretty good place to vend. But to suit, I think it's kind of lame, personally. I stopped doing FC a while back because it was just expensive. It's also in January, so it was just expensive to go there. But it was a good con. I mean, I think FC, a lot of people don't think about it as much, but it's a really good con. I know for a while, like the numbers stopped growing for that con. And BLFC is a hike, and the prices to get there, at least from Florida, they're they're not great. So I'm building up the areas here with a clay build up, and it's like square chunks because you can see my alpha is a square, so I just kind of add pieces to it. So there's something that I noticed on my last sculpt that I didn't take into account. I need to build up this area a bit more. Don't keep it so flush because I need to make sure a person's head fits a little bit better. And this one I smooth, and then I just kind of keep adding. But I'm going to make this a little bit higher quality so it's not so chunky. I did AC for the first time this year. I did FE, MCFC, FCN, wow, FCN, and Feral, and I was super overwhelmed by AC. It's extremely vendor-centric. Yeah, we have a couple of conventions over here that are for sci-fi and anime and everything like that, and they are very much vendor-centric, and if you're going to buy stuff, I think they're great. You're going to sell, I think they're great. If you're not, and you're going to fursuit, I think they're terrible. So, in my opinion, I think AC is a terrible convention to suit at because it is hot, and it's kind of hard to kind of find your friends too. So I was not a fan at all. A lot of people from all over the world go to it, and it completely makes sense, and that's awesome. But I don't know. It's just for vending. It really is. It was the first convention I went to, and it did hold like a really special place in my heart for a long, long time. But like any con, it kind of grew stale for me, and I decided to start doing other conventions. And I'm glad I did. It's just to kind of switch it up a bit. So kind of building up the cheek area here. I'll blend the other pieces in a bit. And then that way we can start joining everything. It's because he's a grumpo dog. And all this stuff goes down. It's an idea kind of where the eyes would go. I was super impressed by the lighting, the AV of the shows. Yeah, I mean, I will say that. I mean, they go all out. It's not like the con is bad. It's just every con is good for something. Some cons are great for suiting. Some cons are great for just seeing friends, location. I mean, all this stuff. And AC is vending. That is 100% vending. I think it's really pretty hot during the time that they hold the convention. And I'm from Florida, and I still think it's pretty warm during that time. I mean, if you like heat, that's cool, but doing the parade in the middle of the street when it's that hot is, to me, it's just asking for a heat stroke. Yeah, I think they do it on the street because it's cool. It's like that whole like, look, like we we're a lot of us. There's a lot of us here, and this is a big convention for the city, and Pittsburgh really likes it. And I mean, it's really neat how many places in the area go all out for the furries, and the stuff like that's awesome. I mean, I'm glad they like them. I mean, they should. Furries bring them a lot of business. Divide this area here. That brow is fierce. Yeah, I gotta join all these pieces now. So usually what I do with this is, let me double check something. Looks like it's saving it okay. Looks like it at least. Let me export it real quick because I don't trust this thing at all. Dog save. Yes. Hey, the doctor. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Alright, so let's move this. And we're going to move the cheeks a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten this cheek area a bit. Because I want it to be less blobby and more shapely. Give it a little bit of a point there. So I'm using the flatten brush to kind of get that effect. I am having a pretty good night. Thank you for asking. I came back from work and I was like, I want to sculpt. Even though I'll probably be calling this a night in a minute because I did not realize how late it was. I was like, hey, I'll stream for an hour. And this is going close to 2. So, oopsie. Go me. That's the problem with 3D. I swear. You get into this stuff, you're like, ooh, how cool, look. I'll just do this and I'll do that a little bit more and then I'll move this around and it's like, oh my goodness, how is it this late? Because there's something seriously wrong with me and I gotta get up real early in the morning tomorrow because I gotta go buy some materials. I ran out of polyfill, so I gotta go run to Walmart. I don't know. Sometimes it's like it's hard when you're wanting to create and you don't have enough hours in the day. So I'm gonna blame it on the hours of the day. I just want to keep making things, but then my body's like, nah, man, you gotta go to sleep. I'm the same way when I stream. Yeah, I feel attacked. I got a question. Do you still have your iPad Pro? I just got one. I'm so excited and I can't wait to be drawing it. Yes, I do. Actually, I just upgraded to the newest iPad. So I'm the type of person that collects like every iPad because iPads are freaking fantastic and I use them for like every aspect of my life. So yes, I definitely have an iPad. And an iPad Pro is my main device for drawing. I did get a Cintiq, but I'm starting to experience what I experienced with the last Cintiq, which is I don't use it as much. So I may end up putting that one back up for sale again because I don't know, it's just I love the Cintiq, I do, but at the same time it's like, man, I don't use it enough. But I use the iPad on a daily. I have an iPad mini that just lives in my purse. The iPad mini is 100% always with me. And it's a great device. But the main one at home is the iPad Pro. And I ended up getting the iPad Pro, the 11. And it's lovely. I really like it a lot. The new pencil, the new Pencil 2, I guess, is really, really nice. I mean, I like them both. I don't think it's like a giant difference. Some people are like, oh my goodness, it's night and day. And I'm like, eh. I think it's pretty similar-ish. But I like it. I like it a lot. So I definitely say it's still the number one thing right now, especially if you're looking to draw. And you might have maybe more of a budget on programs. Because that's the thing. When you're drawing on the computer, a lot of these programs are pretty expensive, and if you're not ready to cough down like, you know, quite a bit, they can get a little pricey. And iPad has made it really affordable, especially with programs like Procreate. Oh my goodness, I love that program. Same, I have the 12.9. I got rid of my Cintiq's one. I didn't use it as much. Yes, it's nice. I love it. I like it as much. Yeah. It's like I like it. It's just that for some reason I just get stuck using the iPad a lot more. So it's some people will be like, oh well, I use it for this, this, and this. And the other thing is with the new update, since they allow you to just connect hard drives directly to it, especially with the new iPad, that it's just USB-C, it's really nice. So I'm trying to do a lot of editing on it as well for video, because I got it for the new one to do a lot of like editing on the go. So if I travel somewhere where I may not be able to take my my full computer, I could take that instead. I think that'd be great because it's a pretty powerful little device for what it is. It's great. I wish there was like a ZBrush type program for it. There are some, but they're so basic that you don't get much with them, which is a bummer, but you know, I am also asking a lot from a portable device. It's like, please do all these things for me. Inflate this a little bit. Inflat. You should maybe check your iPad right now. iPad just released Photoshop, full Photoshop on it. I downloaded it yesterday and it is amazing. It's free for 30 days. unless, I mean, if you have the, you know, if you pay for Photoshop, then it's included for you. I pay for Photoshop, so for me it's included. I'm off to bed. I have a buttload of sewing to do tomorrow. No problem. Thank you for joining and keeping me company while I stream pretty late. Have a good night. But I am actually going to call this stream. Well, I'm gonna stop the stream before I can't even like figure out what I'm saying since I'm already so tired. So thank you guys for watching. I will continue streaming these if you guys are interested in watching these streams on how I build these heads and kind of go from there. And yeah, I'll try to stream as much as possible. These things are fun anyways for me. I need to do them for work anyways because I got to work on some new casts. So yeah, definitely jump in and try to see when I'm doing these. I'm trying to do stuff, of course, I always try to do it on Thursdays. But right now, because of MFF Rush, it's kind of a mess. So I'm going to stream when I can. And then after MFF, I should be pretty much back into the every Thursday kind of stream. So right now it's going to be some days I'll stream, some days I won't. Catch me at night. I mean, I'll always advertise it on Twitter, and I will post it up on the Fox Sparks Telegram chat as well. So thank you everybody for coming in, watching. Thanks for the new followers. And you guys are awesome. And if you have any questions and whatnot, be sure to like find me on Twitter and poke me through there. And I will continue working on this one, hopefully through stream. And if not, you at least got to see how I started it. So I'll try to upload these up on YouTube as well, since people asked me for that. So this will be kind of like a part 1 to this. Have a very good night. I'll see you guys later.